Arvind, it's a pleasure. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
It's a pleasure to be here. Look, the PanIIT crowd is such a crowd that I owe so much to that I love being here.
So we'll start with that then. You're an alum of IIT. I've come to this conference. You probably ran into some old friends and the camaraderie, but most importantly, the accomplishments of IITians have been phenomenal, starting from you and Sundar and many other people. There's a lot of credit that goes back to IIT, but also to the American system that enables and empowers us. So what is your take on that, Arvind?
Look, the IIT system really is great because it's an institution that allows you to really take your intelligence further, to do a lot of learning, and to take risk, and to understand kind of how the world works. You then need a system which also says, okay, how do I take risk? How do I give these people opportunities? How do I allow failure to happen? Because, look, 9 out of 10 things will fail, but the one succeeds at a massive scale. The American system loves that. So the combination has worked really well.
Beautiful. I want to extend that further. You are at IBM, one of the most recognized brands in the world. It's a huge company at a very different scale. Technology keeps evolving, and big companies like IBM have to adapt and keep scaling. And that is a big challenge. How do you see that, especially with AI at the front now?
Look, it's beyond AI. The world of technology, and by the way, in many other industries too, keeps evolving. When you evolve, you get into the classic dilemma: do I stay rooted in my past, where there's a lot of success and there's a lot of brand value? Or do you begin to say, look, it's time to jettison part of the past. There's always good things in it that you need to keep. I believe that giving service to clients are a reason to exist. Keeping those client relationships is really important. Being rooted in helping a client succeed is really important. But the actual technology in which you do it keeps changing. Used to be punch card readers, then it went to mainframes, then it went to Java, then it went to internet-based technologies. Now it's going to be in AI and hybrid cloud. You've got to be willing to jump towards the future and maybe give up part of the past.
Leadership is an essential part of any organization, especially with big companies like IBM, and not just at the top, but it has to go all the way to the bottom and empower more leaders in the organization. Only then you can pivot and move and grow. So a couple of points on leadership.
Look, the word culture is often used in modern organizational psychology and about leadership. But let's be very clear. Culture is all about the behaviors you're getting from the large part of the organization, and that's what leadership is. Because to me, leadership is when you get more from the people than they would on their own. Okay, so that is behavior. So an example of a modern cultural behavior: how do you get more risk-taking happening? And when I say risk-taking, I don't mean people jumping in and saying, I'm going to do crazy things. By risk-taking, I mean, if you tell an engineering team, I want something done, what's the date? And then you say, well, I want 100% guarantee, no risk on that date. They'll buffer the date, they'll add more people, it'll be slower, and it'll probably be more complicated than it needs to be. If you say, give me some date with a risk, now you can go much faster, but there is a slight chance you won't make the date. That's changing culture, and that's changing behavior.
Risk-taking is at the forefront of startups. And they can do more because they're agile, they can maneuver easily. You can't do the same thing at big companies. So there are pluses and minuses. Two questions. One is some lessons you want to share with startups. And the other thing is, how do big companies like IBM incorporate this startup culture within their own ecosystems?
Yeah, actually, so I'm going to slightly modify. I think that startups and larger companies should work together and be complementary. I don't view it as oppositional. I think startups can take a lot of risk on, by and large, topics which are not massive in complexity. So they can say, okay, I want to go build a new application, I want a new way to compile something, I want a new way to build an AI model. Great. I think startups should go do that. Now, in order to scale, maybe they're going to go scale up on their own and get a lot of capital, or maybe they're going to get acquired by somebody and do that. That's complementary. Now let's take a topic like semiconductor plants. I don't really see any startups trying to build a new semiconductor plant, because then you say, okay, that's $20 billion. Do I really want to take a risk of a 99% failure with $20 billion? Probably not. So there is a place where you can take risk. So that's why you'll see large companies, I'll take a risk on new ways for semiconductors, on new ways for quantum computing, because those are much bigger bets. But if it's another area, maybe we want to acquire somebody to do that. So I view this as complementary, not oppositional.
And finally, one question on a personal experience and anecdote growing up in India, whether it's IIT or going to your school, an anecdote you shared that you felt was pretty instrumental, not in terms of academics, but in terms of shaping who you have become now?
I'll go back to the question on risk. So, as a child, I mean, through my elementary school years and middle school years, every summer my father would take 4 weeks off and we would go travel all over India. So he would get into a car and say, okay, let's just go someplace. And that teaches you a lot about trying to adapt to people. It teaches you not to live in certainty. Where are we going to be tonight? How are we going to get dinner tonight? Where are we going to sleep? You kind of figure it out as you go. And I think that has been a great experience for me till now.
Great. Thank you so much. You've been a very busy man. You have to fly to Davos, I know that. But thank you again for taking the time.
Pleasure. Thank you.